This one letter changed everything. My doubt, my anger, and my resentment all result from this one letter that I wrote to my dad. See, to break free from any limiting beliefs, you don't need hundreds of hours of therapy and mindset courses. You just need to tap into the source of the problem, understand it for what it is, and then you need to have an if-then plan in place that you follow. So in this video, I will break down how you spot and break any limiting beliefs that's holding you back, and then 2, how to rewire your mind so that you stay consistent with it. So to take you back a few years, I'm 22 years old right now, and I've just moved to Australia. Prior to that, I've been a successful fitness athlete at home. Prior to that, I've just gone through 6 years of really destroying my confidence and my self-esteem to drugs. And really through these years of 14, up to around 19, that is really where my relationship to my parents, in particular my dad, but really to anyone around me, deteriorated. And most importantly, to myself. That's when I developed all my limiting beliefs, my lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, social anxiety, really not feeling good about myself. But the relationship, in particular in this situation with my dad, even got worse, So when I moved to Australia, 6 years later from there, I've already gotten myself in shape right now, feeling better, I'm more disciplined, I'm more on point. And when I then come to Australia, I then start really diving into personal development. Why? Because when I arrived in Australia, I was a brand new kid, didn't speak the language, and all the insecurities really started to come in and overwhelm me. I'm not feeling good enough. I don't feel like I can be funny. I don't feel like I can speak. I just didn't really feel like I could be myself, So that really led me on a path to really start tapping into, the problems that I was feeling. Why do I feel this way? What is self-esteem? What is self-confidence? What is a limiting belief? Where do they come from? And what I really started to discover in that process was, the drugs were really a big thing, but my relationship to my dad from when I was a child was really one of the root causes of it. So I actually blamed my dad for a very long time that I felt the way that I felt, that I doubted myself, that I didn't feel good enough. I really doubted, I really blamed my dad for a very long time, because I was like, it's because of you. It's because you didn't give me any recognition. It's because you treated me this way. It's because you didn't give me love. You didn't say good things to me. You were tough on me. I blamed him from my weak mind at that point. So basically, fast forward that year, I just immersed myself in really uncovering what is really the problem of this. That is then escalating into my first event that I'm doing with Tony Robbins. And at that event, I really get stirred up emotionally, And just to illustrate a little story from that, I'm meeting a guy at that event. So one, I'm doing that event for 3 days, learning a lot of things about the mindset and why we're thinking like we're thinking. And then I'm meeting a particular guy at that event that had a ability to read people's energy and past and futures based on their energy, And I befriended him. I was sitting next to him. And as we were walking out from the conference we start talking there, and I'm really just asking, I'm like, what do you see? Like, what do you see in me? Like, what do you see about my energy and where I'm at? And we were talking back and forward then, really just as we're about to part ways there, he says to me, Simon, like, I see a very strong guy in you. I see a very strong, powerful man in you. But I'm also seeing a very big shadow that looks above you and that looks down on you, that suppresses you. And as soon as he said that, and he was speaking for literally like 10, 15 seconds there, all I had in my mind when he spoke there was my dad, And that is really when that turning point shifted, So what happened there was I left him, I went back home, and I was sitting on the tram. I was living in Australia at that time. And I remember I felt so emotional, but in a weird way. Not angry, not sad, not upset, but just like still. And all I could just think about was that moment. I'm like, what is this shadow over me? Why do I feel this way? Why am I so calm but still at the same time very emotional and sad? And I remember the next day, I'm going to work with my boss. And during that day, I'm still in the same kind of like weird, quiet mood. He drops me off at home that day, and I'm supposed to go to the gym to train with a buddy. But as I'm walking into the building, I'm leaving the building and I'm walking across the road to go to the beach and sit down, and I'm like, I'm not going to the gym today. I go down and I sit down at the beach. I look out, and then I say to myself, okay, this is time, okay? Get something out. Get whatever you have inside you out right now. Tears, whatever. And I'm trying to sit there and force a tear, okay? And I couldn't. And I'm like, I felt emotional. I felt angry. I felt like, what is this? You know, why am I feeling this emotion? I was basically just tuned in my emotion there. I lay down, okay? I look up in the sky. I sit up again, look over the ocean, and then I'm start screaming like a wild child. Rah! Okay? And in that moment, like 10 years of tears are coming out in the amount of 30 seconds. I am hulking, crying out loud like a little baby that cries and sees her mother for the first time. To the degree that people are walking over and say, are you okay? Okay, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all right, you know, and I'm pushing people away. And in that moment, I'm like, I want to tell them, okay, I want to tell my dad. My phone had died at that point, so maybe that was a good idea. So what I do instead is that I'm walking back after I sniff up my tears. I walk back to my apartment, and that in that moment is when I'm writing this letter out. Okay, I'm writing my letter out to my dad with all the emotions that I'm feeling in that point. I blame you for this. I blame you for that. I blame you for not telling that I'm good enough, for being too tough on me here, for hating me over here, for having fist fights, for, you know, verbally abusing. You know what I mean? I hate you for that. Okay. But, and that was the next page. I forgive you for all the same things at the same time. I forgive you for being tough on me. I appreciate you for doing this for me. I appreciate you for installing that fear and anxiety inside me so that I can go out and find it myself and being driven and having a desire to do that. So I basically just emptied all my thoughts out on paper, right? I took a screenshot of it and then I sent it off to my dad, to his email, and then I left it, okay? I spoke to my mom later that day, just back and forward, still had a bit of tears and stuff, but not really in depth or anything. But the next week after, I haven't spoken to my dad there. The next week after, I jump on the phone, as we do once a week with my parents, and they're both on. And then my dad is in the background, and he kind of like looks over the camera, you know, over my mom's shoulder, and said, "So, like, what was that letter about you sent to me?" You know, he's kind of like trying to be, you know, funny, you know, as dads are, you know, with emotions and stuff. And yeah, that was basically just that moment is where both of them were on the screen. I explained the letter to them. I explained that exact story right now, how I felt, what I blamed him for, and how I at the same time have let go, accepted, and appreciate him for who he is and how he raised me and where he came from and what the tools and the things he had available. And both of them had tears in the eyes. And that moment, my friend, was when I was set free. That moment is when I finally accepted the insecurities, the lack of, as no other's fault, but only myself and my own accountability and responsibility to solve. And most importantly, the relationship with my dad and my parents there resolved forever. We have the best relationship today. They're my biggest supporters. You know, I love them to death. And like, I wouldn't be where I am today without them. And that all came from that letter of full understanding, accountability, agreement, and just pure vulnerability and honesty to another person that you're having some resentment about. So the reason why I'm sharing this story is because that was a life-changing moment. There was a lot of small things that had to happen, but I went to that event, I got emotionally stirred up, I had something awaken inside me, and I poured it out and I became vulnerable to the source that I blamed at the time for the problem of it. And whoopty, like a bubble burst. It's like fear, it's like shame, it's like anger and resentment. If you keep it in the dark, it's gonna continue to be there. It cannot live out in the life, okay? And more importantly, you help another individual in the process. I helped my dad that day to feel something. I helped my dad that day to also learn and evolve and grow and show love and caring and compassion and that sort of thing. So I forever cherish what that moment created for us, because it resolved our relationship forever. Okay, so enough about that story right now. I want to go in and actually help you break down what are we actually doing to really practically uncover these limiting beliefs and really just, what can you say, operationalize what we need to do to actually overcome them. Because maybe you don't have a Tony Robbins and a guy that shines some light on you, and then you sit down and write a letter, but you practically right now want to do what I did from day one. And so when we're looking at any limiting belief, okay, a belief is really just a thought that have repeated itself until it now have become, what can you say, part of you. It's just become the truth. A belief is really no more than, I believe that this one here is black, and you might believe it's red, but I believe it's black, so it's black for me, and for some people it's red. That's no more than that, okay? So that is really just what we're going to look at when we're looking at that. So what I actually would like you to do right now as part of this video and part of this exercise is that you take a piece of paper, okay? You write out on one page right now, what are all the limiting beliefs that I'm having right now? One, what are all the limiting beliefs that I'm having right now? Okay, I'm not tall enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not slim enough, I'm not fast enough, I'm not smart enough. Like, what are the current limiting beliefs and behaviors that I'm having? Oh, I'm having a limiting belief. I used to have that when I'm sitting around a bigger gathering and there's smarter people in the room. There's people that are more confident, for example. Then I would have a limiting belief about looking at the people that perceive themselves more confident, and then I would mirror myself in that, and then I would feel a lack of that. I needed to like I needed to beat them, you know what I mean? I needed to be more than them. I needed to be fucking the confident one in the room, okay? So that for me was a very isolated, limiting belief that I had over long periods of time that created a lot of social anxiety. Because again, you can't compare apples to oranges, you know what I mean? So you will always feel inadequate in any situation. And we will come into that, in the next step. But today, that's one of my biggest shift. It's like I'm looking for people to create in fury inside me. Why? Because I can learn from them. This guy, he built this company. This guy is in that shape. This guy have done that with a relationship, and he talks about spirituality and what they have. I'm like, dude, I can learn something. So instead of limiting myself, I now shifted into learning something instead. Okay. So that's really step two. It's step one, write down what are all the limiting beliefs that you're having about yourself right now. Piece of paper, black and white. So you look at it and you're like, God damn, that looks stupid, okay? Page number 2 right now, you're then basically writing down what are these limiting beliefs actually costing you right now? What are these limiting beliefs costing you right now, okay? One current / previous limiting belief that I've also had, okay? Do you actually know what the biggest fear for human beings are? Public speaking. Speaking on camera. Speaking in front of a group of people. That's one of the biggest fears human beings have. So it's a natural one. So maybe we're like, yeah, okay, that's all right. Most people on planet Earth have that. But I'm an individual that want to do that. I'm an individual that educate. I'm an individual that want to build a brand. I'm an individual that want to build a business. And therefore, I have to be in front of people and communicate. So I love it, but I'm also fearful about it at the same time. So what is my limiting belief? It's that it's fearful, I can't do public speaking because I'm gonna be judged, or I'm not smart enough, whatever spills into there. So what is that actually costing me? It costs me that I can never build a brand. I can never build the business of my dream. I can never build a team of high-performing people if I keep having that limiting belief about I will be judged in front of people. I'm using this as an example, okay? Another limiting belief could be I've always been overweight. My whole family is overweight and I've always looked this way. I'm not smart enough. What is that limiting belief actually going to cost you? And write it down sentence for sentence. If I've always been overweight, well, what is that costing me? That belief is probably going to cost me to continue to eat, continue to be overweight, continue to not finding a girlfriend, continuing to not starting my business, continuing to not leaving my hometown. Like, you start suddenly see what a limiting belief about your self-esteem and your appearance and whatever your performance at work is actually costing you in so many areas of your life. The point with this here, my friend, is that you need leverage on yourself. You need to be, this is bad, and this is fucking what it's costing me. Use the pain to overcome this. Use the pain to overcome this and win this over to the favor, right? So what are all the limiting beliefs that I'm having? 2, what is that actually costing me right now in my life and also in my future? My health. I'm gonna die in 5 years from now if I'm not losing weight from 130 kilos and down. Heart attacks, diseases, okay? Put it in there, okay, to disturb you. Number 3, and what you then do is then, what is the new and empowering vision that you want to have for yourself? Again, so I used the example that I used to feel inferior. What is that actually costing me over here is that I will never put myself out there. I will never be social in bigger groups. I can never learn new things. 2, what is the new and compelling the belief that I want to have instead? And that is, I want to be around inferior people that create insecurities in me, because the new empowering belief I have is that I'm a learner. I'm a sponge for growth, okay? Because if I'm a sponge for growth and I take any insecurity and turn it into a learning opportunity, I will forever become a successful individual in whatever I'm trying to indulge myself into, right? I've always been overweight. What is that costing me? I'm never gonna get the girl. I'm never gonna get the business. I'm never gonna move out from home, okay? What is a new empowering belief I wanna have instead? I am the fittest individual in my family. I am breaking free from the tree of obese in my family, okay? I am persistent, consistent, and freaking on point every single day. I am motivated, I am energized, and I'm freaking on fire. Versus, I've always been overweight, I've always been lazy, always been motivated. You can even hear the difference in the voice. That is what you need to do, my friend, okay? We are on thousands of consultations every single year with men just like you, if you're the right man listening to that right now. And the exact thing we do with you when we're speaking to you is be like, where are you at right now? What does that look like? Why is that a difficulty for you? What is this actually costing you to be here right now? What is this actually costing you to not have this information? What is this actually costing you to not knowing what to do? Okay, where do you want to be instead? Okay, how are we going to get you there? What is the new behaviors and mindset we need to put in there? That is how we're breaking free. We are figuring out what holds us back. We are using pain to get leverage on ourselves, and then we're moving ourselves into an empowered future from them. Okay? So the next thing, and what I want to wrap up around this topic here right now, is if-then statements. Okay? So a lot of people have a challenge with this information here. They're like, sounds really cool, piece of paper, yeah, makes sense, get some motivation, get some pain and that sort of thing going. But what do I do tomorrow when I'm just triggered again in a fight with my dad? Or what do I do again tomorrow if I just want to eat the candy, okay? That is when you're gonna basically create your if-then statements. And if-then statements means that if I'm in this situation where I'm usually doing X activity negative, I'm now doing then instead. I'm now doing then instead. So do you know why people do things even they know they shouldn't do it? It's because in that moment, your pleasure, your dopamine, your whatever trigger and automatic behavior is firing, and you don't have a substitute in that moment. You're just going with it. But you don't have a concrete substitute for that other than, I shouldn't do that or I shouldn't do that. But what is the substitution that you need to do that instead, okay? So just some examples over here, okay? So if the waiter asks for dessert, if you want to have that afterwards, instead you're ordering a lemon tea and then you drink that. So if the waiter wants you, if the guys wants drinks, you do X instead. Okay? If you crave sweets after dinner, then you put a chewing gum in your mouth or you brush your teeth. Okay? If you want to buy something, then you check your bank account first to look at it to see if you can and want. Okay? You're doing something concrete to reshape that behavior. Okay? If I raise my voice in a discussion, then I tilt my head and smile inside like childlike curiosity. So if you see yourself in a moment where you're fired up, you know what I mean? You're like, It's almost impossible, okay, to be upset in that situation. It's almost impossible not to like change your mood in that situation, okay? If I feel anxious, if you feel anxious, then I tap a wristband twice and say that I'm excited. I did that for many years, okay, in situations. I used to be a group trainer for fitness, and I'm like, fuck, I'm so nervous in front of people and stuff. I would have a little wristband, and I would tap that twice as I started to feel that I had to speak or walk around, or I felt these emotions, you know. I just tap my band, and I'm like, boom, I'm excited, I'm growing, I'm learning right now, okay? So that is really what can you say, if then statement comes down to, is that when I'm usually in that situation, now I'm doing then instead. And then instead needs to be clear, right? And it only becomes clear when you uncover what are the situations, what are the feelings that I'm feeling, and then what is a concrete thing that I need to do instead. Like the craving thing is a big one for a lot of people. Like just use the one that I'm used up here, okay? If I crave sweets after dinner, if I crave sweets after lunch, then I take, instead of ordering the bagel, the brownie, or the cake, then I take a chewing gum in my mouth and I chew on that. Very physical thing. And my friend, that's the hack, dude. That is what I do. I feel cravings just as strongly as you in situations. And what I do, if I'm on point and I want to be good, I eat a chewing gum. I brush my teeth. I drink something, okay, like a Diet Coke or something, whatever it is that you can do that kind of like gets you off what you are about to do, right? So embrace this game, my friend. Embrace the game of growth. Embrace the game of using the pain, using the challenge, using whatever you're going through right now to really just spark that curiosity and spark that desire to get out on the other side and freaking win at it and become the best version of yourself. So I really hope these two things help you. List it out and then use the if-then statement to really just reconditioning your patterns of emotions on a day-to-day basis. You know, again, you're not gonna get to a new place by watching a video like this. You're not going to get to a new place by going to one Tony Robbins event or reading a book. You're going to condition yourselves to become better by what you do on a day-to-day basis. And you need these like broken down behavioral changes to ever get into a new direction. Okay, so appreciate you, lots of love, and I look forward to see you in the next video.